The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Kuku, I am your host today, and I am joined by Pauline Gikanga, and we are going to be discussing about repetitive fights in marriage. When people get married, everybody wants to have a love relationship. Marriage is a love institution. Everybody loves to be there, and all expectations that people have is to have happiness and love and joy, and just to enjoy life every day with their spouse. But it happens in life that constantly people are fighting over things that they are unable to overcome, and they have no idea what to do. But today I am so excited that we have a solution, because every problem with a solution is a problem solved. So today Pauline is going to be taking us through what these repetitive fights are and how we can handle them. Welcome, Pauline. Take us through this.
Thank you so much. It's always nice coming over to GBS. It's virtually to GBS. GBS having been now my home, and it's really nice to just talk to your viewers about and especially this interesting topic that we are discussing today. So I guess my part was introducing myself. So I'm 14, and a counselor and a mediator, and I'm privileged, I must say, to have worked with couples before marriage and after marriage. And of course, one of the big issues that we talk about or we work on in marriage when they cross over to marriage is on conflict and conflict resolution. Yes.
Okay. That's nice to hear that you have actually been working through with couples through this topic of conflict resolution. So people get married, Pauline, and they are so excited. And everyone wants to be in a love relationship. But something happens, and people are not friends anymore. People are now fighting. So other people say that fights are healthy, fights are normal, and you cannot avoid it. Like, fights are inevitable. What do you think about that?
Yes, fights are inevitable. And first of all, even before the fight itself, the fact that the couple are different. I mean, it's somebody was brought up somewhere else, you are brought up somewhere, so you're different. So the fact that first of all you're different and you're two imperfect people coming together, of course that one necessitates a conflict. I mean, just like we always say, even siblings fight. Even siblings, I mean, you conflict even with your own parents. You differ really. And of course that may cause some conflict. So the fact that you're different, it is inevitable. If anything, it's a healthy component of a relationship. Because
when you say healthy,
yes.
When you say healthy, that begs for a lot of answers, because when people fight, there is heartache.
Yes.
How can that be healthy, Pauline?
Now, by healthy meaning that if you find maybe people who do not differ or conflict, it's possibly that they are probably not being themselves. That when one person says this, so all the time is yes. But when you find one person is saying, no, I prefer this way, I think it should be this way, then it means that people are sharing their minds, and it is very, very healthy. Because one of the things we tell people when they are getting married is, you do not lose yourself when you get married. You're still the individual you, this other person is still the individual them. So you come together and agree, of course, on some of the things about to be able to amicably solve those conflicts. So healthy, yes, I meant healthy by the fact that it means that somebody is themselves. They are able to share what they feel. And so when they share what they feel, there's somebody, I always like a quote that Billy Graham wrote, that if then two people are alike, one of them is not necessary. Because if you are going to agree on everything, then it means one of you is not really necessary. I mean, you're there to just challenge one another on something. And so healthy because it helps you to grow. When you listen from this other side, maybe your partner is saying something you don't agree on, but if you take time to listen and understand where they are coming from, you might realize they are thinking in a way that you have never thought before. And so, but then again, someone else will receive it as not a good thing. You know, you feel like they are fighting me, they don't love me, they do not respect me. And so that's where now it comes in as a negative. But then when you look at it on the positive, that no, they're just airing their view. Let me listen to what they are saying, you know, because many times we listen, but we are not keen to understand where this person is coming from. And so conflict comes in.
Okay, talking about healthy definitely means that there is the other side of it, and that is the unhealthy fight. So before we get to the unhealthy fight, Pauline, when people are getting married, some of them are so uncontrollable that it doesn't matter the amount of words and how you put them up that is going to make them change in any way or relent on this decision they have already made. What do you think makes them to fight once they're already in what they have put all their energies to have?
So you just, come bring that thought again, Betty. Just come again on that.
Yes, I was saying, Pauline, that people get into a love relationship and they put in all the effort to get there. And it does not matter how much you tell them to relent and get out of that relationship. And usually the reason is they're so much in love, they cannot let go of each other. And so they put all that they have to eventually have this relationship and even the marriage. So with all this interest and passion and emotion and love, what makes them fight once they're together?
Yeah, you see, like I'll still go back to what I said. Yes, they have put in everything, they have invested in this relationship, they're even feeling so prepared to get into it. But then what happens is if they are not prepared to know that conflicts will come, how do we solve them? Because what happens is that there are people with all those lovey-dovey, loving one another, preparing to get married, but they've always never solved the issues as they come. So what they do is they sweep them under the carpet, and so they keep quiet to one another, maybe 1 or 2 days, they keep quiet, and then now when they get into marriage, when the real thing happens, they're like, you're fighting me, you know, because what happens is when you get married, now you're more together. It's not like when you're dating. You know, when you're dating, you meet one day, you meet 2 days, you meet the following week, you meet the other week. But now this time, you're meeting, you're together, you wake up, you see the person, you sleep, you see the person, you know, so you're together. So it's definitely, if you are not able to learn how to solve conflicts before, then of course, Betty, even with all the love, with all the emotion, excitement about marriage, it will blow up. It will blow up. So the issue is because they have come together and now they are more together, and now the reality of living together is in marriage. That is why it really blows up. Yeah. Okay.
I am thinking of couples who, before they get into marriage, of course, they are in a relationship. Where do these fights begin from? Do they begin way back in the relationship? Do they begin once they are now living together and they now come to the realization that this is not the person I wanted? Where is the source of these fights?
I like different things. My spouse likes different things. I have different interests. I have different dreams. And so what happens is, if I've not shared my dreams for life, for example, let's take the dream aspect, which is normally the major issue. If I've not shared what I have always desired, possibly just even sharing what were my thoughts about a marriage? You know, when growing up, I must have had a thought. I must have pictured myself married, you know. So have I been able to share, this is what I thought about marriage, this is what I think about, and the other person is able to share their dreams. when I'm able to share where I'm coming from, maybe the things I've grown up seeing that I never really liked about marriage. And so most of the time we normally say, when I get married, I'll not do this and this. My dad did this and this. My mom did, I'll not do it that way. I want to communicate to my wife. I want my husband to be helping me, because my mother always used to be in the kitchen alone. So we grew up feeling you want to undo what you saw, which you didn't like. And so you are not able to, you don't share these things. And so now when you get to the real marriage itself, then you start to get into conflict, because you're not feeling felt. You don't feel like you're felt by your spouse. And so the only thing now is fighting.
So these fights begin way back in the relationship.
Yes, they are always, exactly. They start way back. Of course, new ones will come in. So it's a pile up. So the most important thing is to know, okay, now when there is conflict, or when there is conflict, how do we go about it? There may be something else I can mention here, Betty, is that there are conflicts that will always, we call them perpetual. They will always be with us. There are things you will always talk about, and they are resolvable conflict. So they are perpetual conflict, and they are resolvable ones. Perpetual means you may never really solve them. I mean, you have had people saying about, somebody keeps dropping their socks or leaving their socks on the sofa set, for example. And you have had women who have been married for 50 years, they're still talking about that their husbands still leave their socks. So what happens is, well, the earlier you realize this is a perpetual problem, this is an issue maybe we'll never discuss, you just, some people say, I gladly pick them up. I just go them up. Because I have thought, we have even had meetings, can we be tidying up the room? Can you be making the bed after you wake up? You realize that it's not happening. Can you be locking the drawers after you? There are people who just leave the drawers open. They don't remember to close. I think for me, that's the perpetual. I leave drawers open a lot, I guess. And so my husband always, so I think I try. So there are those perpetual things that it's just, you may just learn to live with it, because it's not, what happens when you realize it's something you cannot really change or work on the other person, it becomes, when you accept that, it doesn't now become pain to do. The pain, you don't start looking at it as, she's malicious, she wants to be disrespectful, she wants to give me more work. But those things that are resolvable, then those ones, until they are solved, then it's not, they're going to always be a pain. Yeah. Yes.
I get you, Pauline. I get you very well. But also thinking about, you have moved, you have transitioned from the relationship with all these fights, and you know them very well, and now you have come to the marriage, probably with the hope that someday things are going to change. Things are going to get better. We will work it out. He's going to change and she's going to change.
Yes.
I don't know whether this really happens, or things usually remain as they are, or get worse, or they actually become better. I am not sure about that, but you are here to tell us. But Pauline, look at people who have gone this far and come this far, and they're still fighting. We have talked about healthy fights, and you are here to tell us about if there are any unhealthy fights. But tell us, what are the fights? What are some of these things that couples fight over?
Yeah, I mean, it could be like what I said, it could be leaving socks.
Yes.
It could be opening not closing the cupboards. It could be that one spouse is always late. Maybe they need to leave, even to church. Some people were laughing some place, and they were saying, this is a very good time people are not going to church, because people are not quarreling on Sunday morning. Because at times on Sunday morning, it has always been, you're late,
Yes.
all the time. And so you get to church late. So it becomes, that one becomes a perpetual problem. But of course, it's such a problem because it is a problem that causes a lot of pain, because it means somebody always gets to church late. Now that can be a resolvable problem. So what happens is the couple needs to know that maybe it's about when they start in the morning. Maybe you start preparing at 7, you need to start preparing at 6. You see, that's a resolvable problem. You know, that is something you can now say, let me adjust. Or maybe the other spouse can say, I'll be doing the shoes, I'll be brushing the shoes so that we don't be getting. So that's a resolvable. But if you decide, a couple may decide, or the spouse who is always the early one, may decide, me, I'll be going to the car, whether it's the lady or the man, I'll be going to the car, sitting there for you. But then it becomes a major issue, which would make them even, become even more and more apart. But you just need to understand what is the problem. Is it the time? Is it the what? Another problem would be speeding. There are couples who fight over, maybe you drive so quickly, I drive so quickly, something, and then you keep hearing you don't care about us, you want us to die, and possibly they've never had an accident. Of course, you're not saying speed is good, but this person who drives very fast keeps saying that would keep saying that you drive so fast, you want us. But this one is saying, but we always get to where we are going. Now, it's important to understand, where would this person who feels very bad, as much as they've never had an accident, what would be the issue? Why is it always an issue, yet they always get wherever they are going safe? So you can dig in. Maybe the couple has, for example, trust issues. So when you have maybe trust issues between each one of you, they can show in terms of, maybe on the road, you're not trusting your spouse. You're thinking, because they have done this and this and we have not solved, even on the road, how safe am I with? So it might be deeper than just the issue of, so it's important to just dig deeper and just know, where is this coming from? Why is it always a big issue? I mean, he drives fast, but we always get where we are going. But it's more than the speed issue. It could be a trust issue, because even in a car, you have to trust the one who is driving you. I mean, because I'm sure you've been in a matatu. I have been before, and said, let me alight in the next stage, because you feel uncomfortable. The speed at which it's going, you don't want. So it has to do with trust. So maybe it's a trust issue. So being brought out during driving, but it's not the issue of driving, it's the issue of trust. Yes.
It's the issue of trust. So you talked about socks, and you said that the spouse or the wife could just decide by themselves that, you know what, I'm going to be picking this up every time. But Pauline, sometimes you can actually do that for 1 week. You just gotten married. You can do that for 1 week, and you talk about it. People come to you. There's once a couple that had issues of, just pressing the toothpaste. And the man was always used to pressing it from the top, and the lady knows from her background that you need to press it from the bottom. So much as she tries to explain, this guy just doesn't get it. And is it that you are ignoring your spouse? Because some people say this is way too much. You are just ignoring. Even a small baby told that this is what you need to do would adjust quickly and just do the right thing. We have talked and talked. We have gone to see counselors. We have discussed this. Is it that you are just neglecting and not valuing this relationship?
Yeah, you see, one of the things we say, and maybe is that a couple needs to look at the bigger picture. Yeah, when you think about, and I mean, the toothbrush example is an idea which has been used a lot and over the years, because that is one small thing that can cause havoc in a family, And but you see, we say that it's important for the couple to look at the bigger picture. This is do I want to be right, or do I want to be loved? It's always good to ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want to be loved? Even if we start at the bottom, at the top, I mean, what is the bigger issue? Should I really, is this where I'm supposed to really dwell on? What can I give up? Can I give up, or maybe even look for a solution? Actually, Betty, there is that toothpaste I think because of these issues, some people came up with a business niche right there. There's a little nice small machine.
Yes,
which you have a dispenser. There's not dispenser, but there's still another one that starts from the bottom and you keep on. It's very, very nice. And I guess it came out from such an issue. But you can look at it, and I mean, even people can decide, can we have toothpaste? It's not expensive. Can everybody be having theirs? There's always a way. But the thing for me, I would say, is looking at the bigger picture. You know, will we be fighting about everything? Where are my concerns coming from? Okay, maybe I'm feeling he's doing this or she's doing this to make me feel bad. Then it means if she's pressing there to make you feel bad, then it's bigger than the toothpaste. There must be an underlying issue, but it's been reflected on the issue of the toothpaste. So it's actually not the toothpaste. But Pauline,
if someone really loves you and you live with them and you are their spouse and you have signed the contract until death do us part, why would you fight over the toothpaste? Why would you fight over such a small thing? I mean, it should not even come up as a regular or a repetitive fight. But unfortunately, this is what is happening. And as you were saying, that there could be an underlying factor. Now, this underlying factor, what is it that love cannot just sweep it away?
Yeah, that is true. One of the things we don't do, Betty, is that we don't trivialize an issue. Even when a client comes and it's a toothpaste, we will not trivialize. We will not feel like it's just a toothpaste. No. We'll not look at it that way, because for them it's a mountain. For them it's a big thing. And that's what I'm saying. What we'll do is we will dig deeper. We will want to know, where is this coming from? You know, maybe because we want to believe, and we always say when two people are getting married, we want to believe there is no malice. You're getting married because you love somebody. If there is malice, if you suspect malice before marriage, and then so then clearly you should not move on with that relationship. But unfortunately, there are people who will still move on into marriage, even feeling that this person does not fully love them. I mean, some even will be talking over an affair. You know, there's an affair before marriage, maybe an unfaithfulness or something, or just a mistrust or something, but will still move on to marriage. Now that's a different case. But of course, there are people who will be prepared, they will be fine, but get into marriage. And because marriage will present other things, they'll need to learn, how then do we solve things as they come by? What can I live with? You know, when you hear a woman, Betty, saying that they have been married for 50 years and they still pick the salt of the husband, that is like, for example, if it's the lady who picks, it could be either, it could be the man who picks. And let's then just say it's the lady who picks. And when you hear her say that, at 50 years of marriage, she has probably learned or accepted it's a perpetual issue. So it's for her, she might actually say it, but it's a funny thing. She says it with joy. Huyu mzee wangu, you know, he always leaves, you have to go collect it. So it's not a pain anymore. And that's the difference of perpetual and issues that you can solve. Perpetual, you learn to live with them. This is part of me now. You know, my wife does this. My wife gets late. We are always 5 minutes late. As much as I try to help her, so what I do is I can possibly just know that my appointment, I'll always be pushing it with 5 minutes. So they talk about it laughing. It becomes, even them, as they argue about the issue, because they'll always talk about the issue, they talk about it laughing. I don't know whether you've had couples, they're having a real issue, or even a spouse and both spouses, they have an issue, and they talk about it and laugh. You know, it's funny. It becomes, so it becomes now, they have learned to deal with it. They're just different. They're just this way. I don't like combing my hair, or my hair is always shaggy, or whichever it is, they've learned to deal with it. So we cannot say that every issue must be solved. No, not every issue must be solved. But you learn to know that this is a perpetual issue, but the issue that needs to be solved, needs to be solved. Yes.
Okay, so there are people who have lived 50 years and more, or even less, and they have learned to deal with us. They have accepted what their spouse is. But the reason we are discussing this today is because there are people who get married, and even after 50 years of living together, they want a divorce. And if you ask and follow up, the reasons they want a divorce is not for something new that just popped up. You know, it is the repetitive, it is the things they have been fighting over and over again, and now they want to give up and want to walk out of this relationship simply because of not a new thing. You know, something that has been here and here all this time. So someone maybe is a drunkard and leaves and comes home very late. And when they come home late, it is always you have to open the door and prepare this and that, you know. It is always you came in with alcohol in the house. It's always your clothes are this. It's the same things every day. How is someone supposed to live with such kind of a spouse? Yeah. So if at 50 years it is still causing pain and even some people want out, then it means that was a resolvable issue that was not resolved. You know? Possibly the couple maybe never sought help. You know, at times also people don't know that there is help, or there are people who are not comfortable seeking help. I mean, we have many people who say, I cannot go to a counselor, I cannot go to a pastor, I cannot call a third party to come and help me. So they have actually, or maybe only one of the spouse goes for help, but one of them has said, hey, I cannot go and talk about my issues to a third party. And so what happens is they try to push the relationship. Years pass by. Some of them will say, we are in this relationship because of our children. So they'll actually be together. They'll actually be in one house, but maybe even start living in separate rooms, you know, but they're in that relationship for the children. So 50 years later, 40, their children now go. So they are left together. Now, when they are left together, they cannot manage because they never saw the issues that came by. So what happens is those are issues that are resolved over the years, and a couple can only be helped if they seek the help. Otherwise, because they need that, because if they have stayed that long and put everything under the carpet, or decided to focus on maybe children, or focus on maybe business, and now they are retiring, they are growing old, or one of them gets even unwell, because we've seen some couples who they are only together because they got to a place, one of them got unwell. And so this other lady needs to come in. I mean, the wife is coming in because she needs to tend to the husband. And unfortunately, Betty, we have had couples who have had to go through forgiveness, you know, on their deathbed. You know, they have never come to a point of discussing their issues, living amicably, living a healthy relationship. Because they kept, it was always, it's like they hit a gridlock. They couldn't, even what would be solved was not solved. So and of course there are many reasons, Betty, why we don't like to solve our issues. You know, it could be the issue of our egos, you know. Yes. I can't get there, you know, I don't want anyone to get inside. I can't be vulnerable, you know, I can't be vulnerable to my spouse. I cannot be vulnerable to a third party. So you just decide, you live the way you live, you live the way you live. And many couples are living that way, Betty. We just say, let's just live. I mean, we're outside, we look okay, but we are actually not living a healthy life. So they go to a gridlock, they go to a point of we cannot solve. And of course, the more you grow older, it becomes harder to become vulnerable. Because you do not now want to open yourself up, unless you're tired of that pretending and feeling you're okay and decide, I'm tired. Can we sort out this? Can we solve these things? And remember I said, one of the things could have been you never shared your dreams about what for you is a family, what for you is living as a couple. And so you always feel the other person does not feel you. He doesn't feel me. She doesn't feel me. So you're always on a constant conflict. So it keeps building up. And as long as you're going to work, they are going to work, or you're staying home, one of you, one is going. So you're never really together. But there's that time you will have to be together because of circumstances. And life happens. I mean, like Corona happened, you know? Yes. People have to be together. And that's why you realize
there's a lot of rise in, in that emotional violence and even physical violence during this time. Because now they have been brought together. What they feared most has happened to them. They feared to ever be in a room together. But now they're in a room together. They are with the children together, all of them. The children cannot even go to school because at least when the children were in school, maybe they were having an opportunity in being in separate rooms. But now the house is full. I mean, you don't have that laxity. And so for me, things have grown over the years. And so you hit a dead rock. You cannot face it, and so you just choose out. But there is nothing, Betty, that cannot be solved. And remember, I said by being solved, it doesn't mean there has to be an answer. Yes, there could be answers, but the other way is it will be part of us. This is perpetual. This is how things are. This is how my spouse is. But I will learn to accommodate him. I will learn to accommodate her. Just as she is, because I'm not about to change her. This is a grown up. If the parents never changed her when they were in diapers, when they were toddlers, how am I going to change them when they are old? I can't. You see, and getting when it's about character issues, unless the person wants to deal with the character issue, you cannot change anybody's character. You cannot change. Yes, but if it's
I like the way you say that all issues can be resolved. Yes. All issues can be resolved. You decide to have it as a perpetual problem and live with it forever, or actually change it. But is it possible, Pauline, like you have put it right, to change? Like I said from the beginning, people walk into this relationship or into this institution with the intention of happiness and love forever. And when this doesn't happen, you start working to change your spouse. You start working to make them different. Like if you married this guy who is forever drunk, you married this guy who you already discovered is a cheat. Yes. Is it going to change someday that nowadays he doesn't cheat, and because he has me all the time, and also he doesn't go drinking throughout because I have become a closer friend? Does it really change? Do things change?
Yeah, and unfortunately, that is what many of us think before we get married. Things will change, and most of the time you'd ask, so how was it before marriage? How was he doing before marriage? And then you realize that he was actually doing the same. So really, if he was doing the same and I accepted him just as the same, so where has the issue come in from? Yes. Where is the issue? Because if the person is drinking, I cannot change somebody's drinking. I cannot make somebody. I cannot make the person change. They have to want to change. You see, that's a character issue. That is different from I do not like the way he or she dresses. So what happens? I've had couples where they get married. You never liked the way your wife dresses, and because you just tell her that I've had some say after you get married, you dispose the whole of your wardrobe, give everything to your sisters. I will buy you a new wardrobe, a new clothes wardrobe. Yes. And you have the style, maybe what you thought about, and that's their own agreement, because possibly he feels that I want my wife to look that way, and the wife doesn't mind, because again, you should not have imposed to your wife, There's something you talk about, can you be dressing this way? I like you in short, I like maybe the man will say, I like you in suits, can we buy suits? You can change the outer of somebody. You can take somebody for makeup every day and they look like, somebody who looks very everyday. But that's the outer. But the inner, you cannot change. If somebody is harsh to you, if somebody is cheating on you, if somebody is drinking, then what miracle? I tell people there is no miracle after marriage. What you see is what you get. In fact,
there's no miracle after marriage.
No. What you see, yes, there is no. What you see is it will actually be amplified. So for me, I tell people before marriage is a trivia. It's called a trivia or trivia. When you want to see a movie, you can go and check a 40-minute clip on how is the movie. Now that's the dating, that's the courting. So now, whatever you saw in the tribute, when you get into the real movie, it will be exactly that, but more. So it will not be more. It will be the whole movie. So dating shows you how the whole movie of marriage will be for you, and it's unfortunate. I think for me, I would say that is what I struggle most with. Just making, even when like I have to do a talk, not necessarily a film. And that is one thing I always pray, Betty, that people who are dating, people who are younger would see that is how serious it is. Because then when you get it right there, then it becomes a better deal for you in marriage. You know, this is somebody who is ready to talk over things. She is ready to talk over things. This is our marriage. There's no malice. But if you realize there's some malice here and there, then that's when you immediately get in and start, you know, the person was not fully, some were even forced to it, you know. I've had some where the parents have actually been so instrumental in that they're the ones who say, let's go for that girl. Maybe the guy was not ready, but they really want their son to get married. So he will even say, maybe even in counseling, that I was not even ready. It's my parents who pushed it. You know, they kept telling me, let's go, but I wanted more time, but they told me time was. So there are all those things. But Betty, what you see is what you get.
It's what you get.
Yeah. So, but why we brought that up is because there are things we see in our spouses and we want to change them in marriage. Now, that is something that is bound to fail. You cannot. So what I would encourage even anybody right now, maybe struggling and, you know, those conflict issues and everything, maybe it's fast to work on themselves. How do they look at this? What things? What are things that maybe they have never really communicated about their dreams that they need maybe to communicate? You know, there's always, a couple can always agree to start again. Like, we've really struggled. It's been 10 years, chaos. I mean, we can't live like this. Maybe we have 50 years more. You can decide to make an end and decide, you know what, let's start again. I mean, I've had people who are 10 years deciding to do their premaritals again. Let's understand this thing. We never really understood this thing. Yeah, so there's always a way out.
And that is coming from a couple that are both willing to resolve the issue. Yes. That is coming from both parties, you know. Yes. So you are saying the best place, or rather the solution, comes from the relationship before you get into it. You can decide after watching. You can decide after you watch the intro. You can decide, I don't want to watch this movie, and you just out.
Exactly.
But if you get into it, then you gotta get ready for a bigger version of what you are seeing today.
And you know the movie are the main characters, eh? So it's even.
So you don't out.
Yeah, you do not out. You have to be there. You are there. Yes. And unfortunately, you can get married knowing that if things go bad, you can always exit. But for me, that is the wrong way to get into a marriage. Why should I get into a marriage knowing that there's an exit, you know? And of course, and that is not to say I need to be very specific here, because I'm not saying you should die in your marriage. I mean, like violence and all. We always encourage on taking time off. Yes. But what I'm saying is, why then should I? What's the need of me getting into it? Even seeing all the red flags and deciding that if it doesn't work, let me just get this title, let me just be married for a bit, and if it doesn't work, and then I can always go out. I think for me, that is that is not what marriage was meant for. So, because it's a lifetime commitment, and that's why people say, till death do us part, you know? So, if, for me, that should be the wrong. So, if already you're having that thought because of what you're seeing, then you need to handle that first before even you say, I mean, I would rather you postpone your plans, you know, and know whether this is what I really need. And if really you're not sure, it is okay to exit the relationship before you get married. But what I'm saying is, if you're able to before, even other things that will present themselves, like different things. I mean, when you get married, you might be having desires, or maybe money comes in, you now want to buy a plot, wants to buy a new car, a bigger version. So maybe your conflicts will be like those ones. So let's buy a whole car before we buy another car. You know, those are but now you will have known someone's dream, and then you'll be knowing how do we work on. But when it comes to character issues, it becomes quite a big issue.
True, Pauline.
Yes.
Let's talk about the unhealthy fights. Now that you told us from the beginning that fighting is inevitable and it is healthy.
Yes.
So when you say it's healthy, it means that we have the unhealthy version. Please take us through that.
Yes, and the unhealthy version. Okay, the healthy version is what I said about the acknowledging this is perpetual. We're gonna stay with it, and of course resolving the issue. The unhealthy is maybe what we've actually just been discussing, deciding that I'm not ready to discuss this and I'm opting out of this, and then maybe just decide. And I always tell people, whatever you choose as an option, you set a precedence for yourself. There's somebody who will have an issue and decide I'll not go home for a week, or I'm going to visit my parents, or I'm going to go in whatever it is. So for me, that is unhealthy, because you have set a precedent that instead of solving the issue, instead of realizing whether this is a solvable issue or it's a perpetual issue, you decide that you will avoid
not discuss. Yes.
Avoidance. And avoidance is where we say in layman, putting things under the carpet. I'll not talk about it. It's like you stonewall. You put a wall in front of you. Your spouse cannot approach you. You cannot be approached by anybody. Anybody wanting to help you, maybe your best couple, a pastor, or anybody. You do not want any help. You decide that I will not live with it. It is he who has said, I am not going to discuss that issue. Now, that is very unhealthy, because that is those are characteristics of living that relationship. Those are characteristics of divorcing that relationship, deciding that I'm done with this, we're not going to solve these things anymore,
Yes.
I always say, when I have to use the Christian way, I always say that the enemy will come to kill, steal, and destroy. Anytime there is a relationship, there's a conflict, it's very important for a couple to know. On the positive side, it's teaching me how to forgive. It's teaching me unconditional love, It's teaching me unlimitless forgiveness. It's teaching me, how to be selfless, because being able to want to solve an issue, meaning you want to be selfless. You're not selfish. Because when people get married, you stop being selfish. It's not me, and you start being selfless. You think about the other person before even you think about the other. Whatever I'm doing, is it right? What is it doing to that person? That person is valuable. Even before she was my wife, before he was my husband, he was somebody's son, he was somebody's sibling. So can I look at that person that way instead of looking at him with the issue at hand? Another way is, we always say, another unhealthy way is solving the person and not solving the problem. Most of the time we think it is him, he doesn't love me, she doesn't love me. But what is the issue here? So one of the things we encourage clients to do, couples, is to externalize the issue from the person. There's this issue of course, of maybe coming late. Why do they come late? There's this lateness issue. Why does it come late? What does it make you feel? So much so that it is it's not the person. And that's why I was saying, you need to know, where are you both coming from? Is it from a point of malice or from a point of love? Even if it's from a point of love, the issue is here. You externalize it so that you're not solving one another, but you're solving the issue. Because now when you start solving,
let's help this couple who are struggling with this repetitive conflicts all their life. The wife is always putting too much salt in the food or too much sugar in the tea, and the husband doesn't like it, and it always just happens. It's not that she wants to, and it's not that the husband doesn't say continuously, and it is just an issue that is piling, and before you actually know it, the man decides, I'm going to be eating outside, I'm not going to take your tea, But for the woman, she doesn't do this to offend or annoy the husband. It is not something she does intentionally or with ill motives. It is just her, and she cannot kind of overcome it. Yes. What is this couple supposed to do? How are they supposed to handle this thing that is forever happening to them? People also have issues with their children, Pauline. People also have issues with their finances, even their finances. They are always saying we will budget, but this man brings home salary, and before the budget is effected as planned, it has gone into something else, and that has not happened. What do you do with such a couple?
Yeah, of course, one of the things, maybe I would just say maybe what I would think, but we always work with what the couple feels would work for them. Yeah, we always post it back to the couple. What do you think now this is happening and the sugar is always put? What would you want done differently? Anyway, but most of the time there are things we do, like I always say here, Betty, because of what we so doing. You'll actually realize that lady may not even have an explanation of why she puts tea in the sugar or salt in the food. Maybe she just saw her mother doing that. That is how it is done. I mean, growing up, it was always sugar is put. But you see, there's what options do they have? I would want to hear, for example, what options do they have? Some of the options they may have is maybe not to put the sugar in the tea when it's being cooked. Serve the tea without the sugar. Put the sugar in a sugar dish, Let someone serve themselves.
Yes.
And you see, maybe we grew up knowing that sugar has to be put in tea when it is being cooked. That's the way most of us saw growing up. If it's the issue of salt, can you decide that? So we will not be cooking with salt. As much as putting salt, or even as much as putting salt in food, which is not cooking, is not right. Yeah. Can we buy the salt which is recommended and be putting? Can you be taking the food? Can you be getting some food from me from the pot and then putting it for me in a plate, and because you like a lot of salt, be putting a lot of salt. These are things that they can always discuss and know, is it a possibility? Is it possible for you to do this? Why is it not possible? Maybe if I do that, I don't feel like it will be real tea. Talk about those things. Yeah. There was the other scenario that you mentioned, Betty.
About finance, yes.
About finances, budgeting and everything. Just realizing, again, did they share how they want to be doing finances? And I say that there are things that maybe a couple keeps talking about over and over again. Maybe
exactly.
They can look back and see, has it worked for us? Like, do an audit. Has it worked? As much as we don't budget together, which is important, has it worked for us? Have we been meeting our bills? Does everybody have, maybe they have decided to be doing, everybody has what they pay for. Has it worked for us? But if
it had worked, Pauline, if it had worked, they would not be fighting. They would not be having any issues. But they are fighting because it's probably not working, and they want to try another way. Yeah. They have sat down and discussed, it's not working. They want to try this new way of budgeting and doing things this way. But one spouse is unwilling, to cooperate, and so they end up fighting. And sometimes, like I said, it's always their children. When it comes to disciplinary issues, one spouse does not want the child to be touched, or does not like the way you discipline children, and so it's always the same thing. They cannot throw away their children. They cannot quit the marriage because of that. They have talked and talked over and over again, but they are seemingly not getting into agreement. How do they live? Fighting forever?
No, definitely they are not happy, and they are fighting, and that's why they need help. And that's why, for me, when, of course, couples are different, and that's why at times it's never possible to give a blanket answer, but just to understand, where are they coming from? Why do they do things the way they are doing? Fine, they feel these things they have fought over the years. Okay, when we sit down, how different can we do things? How can we accommodate one another? We are feeling bad about it. I don't like the way you discipline children. Let me understand. Why do you discipline the children the way you do? We were beaten. We were even disciplined more than this by my parents. I don't like disciplining my children with a rod. Why? Because it was so much for when I was growing up. It was so much. My mom almost, I've had people say my mom almost killed me. She used to use the rod so much on us, so I don't. But then this other spouse is probably seeing we are letting our children, get badly behaved. We're not doing well. We have to come to a compromise. How then can you just entering the feelings of one another? Because especially like I said in the beginning, probably they've never understood the dream of one another. Enter into my shoes, enter into my space. Why do I do things? Am I ready to understand? And that's why we say, even when we are teaching communication to couples getting married, we always tell them it's not about just talking and listening, but it is listening with understanding.
Listening with understanding, Pauline. There are men who say, she does not submit to me. She is too mouthy. She does not understand her place or position in the marriage. There are those men who do not want to be told, and they think that when a wife is the one who talks and brings up those issues that they should address, then she's not submissive, then she's imposing her way. And this makes it so difficult to be able to communicate and even address such issues. Yes, how possible is that?
Unfortunately, yes. But then I always say, this is how this gentleman was when you are getting married. This is probably how he was. This is the man you loved. This is the woman you loved. You gentleman, maybe, who is causing all that. Do you want to continue causing havoc to the person you love? Remember I said even before she was your wife, she was somebody's child, she was someone's sister. So that respect needs to be accorded even before. So this is a person who should be respected. Even so, what does it do to you when she's not happy? Then it's something not right, because you don't want to live with somebody and make them miserable all their lives better. So for me, that is something that I would challenge maybe a man like the one you're describing. Is it really good to keep your wife feeling the way she feels? If it is the lady, is it really good to possibly not stay as you are? Are you able to talk things out? Possibly they are not able to talk things out, because if they talk things out, things explode. But is that the way? So until a couple, and if it's not a couple who have decided, then this one person needs to decide. So how then can I still be in this marriage which I still want to remain? But then I am not, because again, getting angry is a choice again. This is a topic for another day. How we react, because someone will say, no, but they made me unhappy. But again, it is a choice. And I'm not saying that the two should stay in this marriage assuming one another. So it's not about assuming, you're not feeling, I don't care what they feel. No, it's not about that. But you need to know that how do you make it healthy? For yourself, not for the society, because I tell you so much about the society. When we go to the village, how do people look at us? We need to look happy, and so our energies are used more about the outer, but we are not working on the inner of our home, us. Taking care of one another. So for me, I always feel that is an individual journey which somebody needs to know. What do they want? That is also a corporate journey. The couple itself. What do they want? Are they happy of where they are at? When they scale themselves on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is doing very badly, 10 is doing very well, where are you at? If you're at 3, then maybe you need help to get at the 8 that you'd want, because if 8 is ideal for you. So I believe if anybody listening, anybody needing help, even people out there, I believe there's always a way out. There's always help. But you have to want to be selfless. Remember, when you get married, you stop being selfish, and you start being selfless. That is the only way you're going to make it.
True. Thank you so much, Pauline. I got your pieces of advice, and I hope that everybody else was able to listen to this and note it down very, very well. One of the things that I had you say clearly was that there's no miracle after marriage. If you got into it, don't expect things to get better. Really, important. Thank you so much, Pauline. I really
Thank you for having
that
me.
you would come and join us even through this, you know, to talk about the repetitive fights that people have in their marriage. They've got to learn. They're the perpetual ways, and they have to keep up with them all their lives. That was really awesome. Thank you also, viewer, for watching this episode of Chungu cha Jamii. It has been a lovely time having you there, just viewing and watching this program. I hope you have received a lot of help. Until next time, my name is Betty Akuku. See you then.